The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown, Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark. Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto. My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're live. Episode 37 of Two Fat Guys Pull Us is now live on YouTube. This is our third episode on YouTube. We are thoroughly enjoying ourselves. Dog's thoroughly enjoying itself here on YouTube.
Apparently.
Let me pull my statistics up on the other screen. So we got that going. Perfect. So as we wait for people to trickle in, or if anybody trickles in at all, we're going to take care of some business as we always do at the beginning of the show. First of all, we're going to talk about our Two Fat Guys Pool List Mystery Pool, our monthly comic book subscription service, sponsored by our good friend Ron and Brent over at Collected Comics and Games and Brainy Comics. Speaking of Ron, he's in the chat.
Oh, hey-o.
What up, Ron? So, we're going to break this down. So the first slide up is going to tell you kind of the specifics of the mystery pool box if you're not already subscribed. So we're talking about the subscription for the month of April, so the current month we're in. The pricing on this is wrong. I still haven't updated it. It is actually $40 plus shipping. We had a little bit of a bump up because we have a custom box now that Ron is working with us to get created. So the next box that you get will be a customized Two Fat Guys Pool List Collected and Brainy Comics box. It's pretty sick. So when you subscribe for $40, you get one store exclusive, which we'll talk about in a bit, 4 to 7 back issues, ranging from bronze, silver, or modern age books, and then a chance to win a big key, or in this case, a custom comic book cover, a drawn cover. So that's what we're giving away. That's what Ron's giving away for the month of April. So that cover, first the store exclusive. So this is the store exclusive for the month of April. It's Magic #1 from Boom Studios. I believe the cover is John Haas, I think his name is. And he actually does the magic card. He draws magic cards. So that's why that illustration looks so freaking awesome. And it actually looks like this. So if you want to look at the screen or you want to see me hold it, ooh, there it is. So everybody,
I forgot about that cover too. That was my favorite one.
Yeah. So everybody that subscribes in the month of April will get this in their box, including everything else. Now, the comic we're giving away, or the Ron's giving away, is this Brian Dunham Avenging Spider-Man #1 custom cover. And remind me of the issue again, Nate. I always forget.
ASM 129.
Homage. So first appearance of Punisher. Yeah. Very awesome cover. So some lucky winner that subscribes to our box this month will win this. So this is our big giveaway that Ron's giving away this month. So that is our Two Fat Guys Pull List Mystery Pool. Go to brainycomics.com to subscribe. Nate can put it in the chat once he's ready to go. So if you haven't subscribed, check out in the chat, and that link will be there for you. The next thing we're going to talk about, we got 2 more pieces of information, then we're going to get into our pools. So we hit 100 subscribers this week.
Hell yeah.
Technically, we're at 105 now, but we have, let me try, here, I'm going to find it real quick. Yep, okay. So I have our winner on this piece of paper. So we did a random draw from our subscription base, and the winner of this 9.6 CGC graded Wolverine Origins #2 1 in 50 Canadian variant is Jared McFarland. So Jared McFarland, you have won yourself a 9.6 CGC graded Wolverine Origins #2, 1 in 50 Canadian variant. That's a mouthful. So we will be contacting you, or you can email us at twofatguyspullist@gmail.com, and we need to get your information. We need to know where to ship this bad boy to you, because we've got everything ready. We just need your address. So that is our winner for our 100 subscriber milestone.
Is it Jared or is it Gerard?
Maybe it's Gerard. I'm probably saying it wrong.
I think it's Gerard.
Gerard McFarland. You are the winner of that book. Now, since we hit that, right, we're like, well, now what do we do? Well, we want to get to 250 subscribers. And to get to 250 subscribers, we've got another incentive. And if you're new here, what we're going to give away when we hit 250 subscribers, one lucky winner, one subscriber, will get this 9.8 CGC graded Batman Who Laughs #1 Dark Knight metal tie-in. I didn't say death this time.
Oh, you got it.
I did get it. So one lucky winner when we hit 250 subscribers will get this badass book. So this is what we're giving away at 250, and we'll go ahead and just run through what we're giving away at the other marks too, just so we can get people hyped for what we're giving away. So when we hit 500 subscribers later on this year, we're going to give away, and Nate really doesn't want me to give away these next two books. He gets very upset with me.
We don't have to show them.
No, we have to show them.
Okay.
So when we hit 500 subscribers, we're giving away this 9.4 CGC graded Wolverine #1 from his original ongoing from 1988 with the custom Wolverine label. So we're giving away this bad boy at 500, and at 1,000 when we hit it later this year, because we have to put it in our minds that we're going to hit 1,000 subscribers in a year. We're giving away. Now Nate really doesn't want me to give away this book.
I actually legitimately think we're gonna have to talk about it because of how hot this book is getting.
We can talk about it all we want. We're giving it away when we hit 1,000. 9.8 CBCS graded Original Sin Amazing Spider-Man #4, the first appearance of Silk. So when we hit 1,000, even if this book just flies, like if it gets announced in like August that Silk is coming to Spider-Verse #2 from Sony, we're still giving it away. So we're still giving it away. We'll go before that. We'll get Ron to get us 2 more copies. Okay, don't worry about it.
What if it gets announced that Silk's getting her own main headline trilogy movies, and this book goes to 10K?
We're giving it away.
Oh my god.
We're giving it away. We've literally put it out there that we're giving away this book. I'm sorry. Now, what we could do is say we hit 1,000, but we're going to wait a little bit until we get to 10,000. No, we're going to give it away at 1,000 subscribers. I'm sorry. So that's our news. We announced our winner. So Gerard McFarland, or Jared McFarland, you have won. Hit us up on twofatguyspullist@gmail.com, or we're going to send you a message as well to get your shipping address so that we can get this book to you, because you won. So that being said, let's get the show started, shall we?
Let's do it.
So last week we had a giant-sized episode.
Understatement.
Understatement of the week. But this one's a little bit more manageable. We got 16 books, I believe, 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to kick off the show with Daredevil #29.
All right.
From Chip Zdarsky.
Arguably the best ongoing Marvel book right now, too.
Mm-hmm.
So our quick little synopses. In case you don't remember where we were at with issue 28, the very last panel was Matt getting poisoned. So we open up literally exactly where we left off, with Matt being like, "Oh shit, I'm poisoned."
Yep.
So he is like, kind of freezes and thinks, all right, this is, what do I got to do? And he's like, I got to get out of here. And so he goes outside. He tries to make himself throw up because, try to get the poison out, try to at least minimize the effects of what's going on here. But of course, that's not even the half of it. This was really just a trap to get him to go outside so that some fellers can jump him. Oops, lost my light there. Yes. And so that's the way that we sort of draw people in the book. Then we cut to Elektra, and man, I cannot remember her partner, or like this girl's name that she's training.
I'm sure they dropped it in the King in Black tie-in. I do not remember as well, but
they definitely do. But for some reason I couldn't remember her name.
Protege.
Yes. Elektra is training with her protege. They're working on punches and stuff. And she basically, tells her like, listen, do you want to be one of the strong that protects, or do you want to be one of the weak that needs? And the girl's like, what are you talking about? Because Elektra's like that.
Super cryptic and shit.
Yeah. And so she takes her protege down to a store that is kind of getting the shakedown for some money, for protection money for the new kingpin, which is Libris is the family name. I don't remember her first name, but the Libris family, she's the new kingpin now. And as soon as they take this $1,000 from this poor store owner, she comes and like beats the crap out of him. At one point, she deflects a bullet with, what are those called?
I forget what they're not size. Or are they size?
No, I think they might be scythes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. She deflects a bullet with one and then smashes a guy and breaks his nose with it. And then she says, actually, if you want to operate, I think she says, if you want to exist safely in Hell's Kitchen, it's going to cost you $30,000 a month. This 1,000 is a great start. Go tell Libris. I love that part so much that like, even though she's trying her best she's doing her best Daredevil impression, she's still very much Elektra.
The Elektra seeps out.
Yeah. And so then we go back to Matt, and the guys are kind of closing in on him and stuff, and he starts to meditate. He literally like sits on the ground and like and like he's trying to like slow his heartbeat down. He's trying to like stop the poison from spreading in his body so that he can be a little bit more into it, see what's going on, be able to get his senses going. But he's also trying to freak them out. He tells a story about a time that him and Foggy were walking home, and Foggy was super drunk, and these guys came out, were going to kick their ass, and then Foggy just started dancing. And he's like, he's like, oh, you can't fight a dancing guy, because it was just so ridiculous, and so that's how they got out of a fight. But of course that doesn't work here, and so I like the whole page. It was like a full page panel, and he just says, then let's dance. And then they just start rumbling, basically. We cut to the recently beaten up thug going to Miss Libris, and basically telling her about how he got jumped. And she's just like, just get the fuck out of here. Like, yeah, seriously. And also, I cannot remember Fisk's son's name either, but
I don't know. Yeah.
She's talking with Fisk's son, who we have seen before. We've seen him in a couple other issues, prominently the annual, is when it's revealed that he is Fisk's son. Mm-hmm. Which I actually literally had to go pull the annual off the shelf. I was like, wait, what? How did I not remember that? But for some reason, it just sort of slipped by me.
I don't remember Fisk's son. I do remember Murdoch's brother who pretends to be him.
Yes. So we basically get like a quick scene of Mike going around. So right now he is parading around town pretending like he is Matt, because no one knows who Daredevil is. So Daredevil's in jail, but no one thinks, where's Matt at? And so Mike is pretending to be Matt. Which I am very curious to see where this is going to go.
Yeah.
We don't really get too much. They have a little bit of a conversation where Fisk's son is just like, yeah, like she's totally trusting in me now, like our plan's working, and then that's it. Like this work. That's obviously like a little bit of a sprinkle for an arc down the line,
right?
And then we get our second to last scene. We cut to Fisk. So there's a lot, as you can tell, a lot going on in this.
Yeah,
book.
for sure.
We cut to Fisk, who's basically in like a secret underground facility, and it turns out that he has Bullseye, paraded up on, or like, I don't know, being experimented on. Basically, he's trying to use him as a weapon. So Bullseye got his ass beat in the story arc that was right before Matt going to jail. And where Fisk and Daredevil sort of fight next to each other just to protect Hell's Kitchen. Mm-hmm. That's when Bullseye gets beaten up. So I think we've got another little sprinkling of an arc that might be down the line. And then finally we get basically 2 pages of Matt beating the hell out of everyone. And we're like, okay, you know, like looks like we're gonna get out of this fine. Zoop! Fucking shivved in the gut.
Yep.
This guy just comes up like out of nowhere, gets a dumbbell thrown at his head. Still manages to put a shiv in Matt's stomach, and as he falls down in a pool of blood, he hears the warden say, like, it's done, Daredevil is dead. Which, of course not, but...
I don't know. Dude, like 3 or what? Is it 2? It's either 2 or 3 covers from now. It's Daredevil as a freaking angel.
Oh, that is true.
He might be dead, bro.
Yeah, maybe he's dead. I don't know. But that's our quick little synopsis. Also, you don't have the camera set up for showing.
I don't. I didn't have time to figure it out.
You know, no, we can't all be professionals.
Shut the hell up, man.
This cover for next issue 30 is really cool. I love the way that Chichetto draws hair. Like, it's not just Elektra. I was actually reading a book that he did. I don't remember what it was, but he really loves to draw just fucking flowy
all
hair
over the place. Yeah,
all over the place. Anyway, this book was really good. It wasn't my pick of the week, but this is a solid A book.
It was pretty. I was fairly certain to make it my pick of the week, but I did not.
There are honestly weeks that this would have been my pick of the week.
Oh, big time! But this week's pretty much stacked when it comes to picks of the week. Yeah, no. So, yeah, I enjoyed this book. I thought, again, Chichetto is on fucking point. Zdarsky is on point. It, you know, this book ended and I was like, I want more. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Now I gotta wait a month. And also, I will say this, and this again, I try really hard not to make these zings, but Zdarsky is writing Kingpin a hell of a lot better than Nick Spencer right now. Like, I am thoroughly enjoying Kingpin in this book, and he's in a lot of books. Like, he's all over the place. But Daredevil number 29, killer, and I cannot wait for it next month.
Mm-hmm. I think James in your corner. He says he's totally dead.
He's totally dead. I mean, he might actually be dead, and there might be some kind of voodoo that they got to do to bring him back.
I mean, I honestly do. I would not be upset if we had a 10-15 issue run of Elektra as Daredevil before they get him back in somehow. I honestly wouldn't be upset with that.
Yeah, I mean, 5 issues, 15 issues. I'd be happy either way.
Yeah.
All right, so that is Daredevil 29. And on to the next book, some Donny Cates goodness. We got Thor. I was about to say 4. Thor number 14. Holy shit. This is pretty good. This issue was Nick Klein again, just smashing it out of the park, and Donny Cates writing like a movie. You know what I mean? And he illustrates it. Klein illustrates Donny Cates's work perfectly. You know, I know Cates writes the scripts and he helps the paneling and all that, and you can definitely see it here. But we open up with, Blake taking on pretty much all of Asgard, including a disbodied Thor in the Destroyer armor, and really, at this point, it's just a showdown between Odin and Blake. Basically, Odin owns up and is like, I got to take care of this. This is this all of this shit is because of me. But before any of that can happen, Thor runs at Blake in the Destroyer armor and just swings at Blake. We get this really kick-ass double panel Thor just punching the shit out of Blake.
Teeth flying out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's signature here. And this is by far one of my favorite pages. There's a couple in here, but we kind of complain about how Donny kind of just like speeds through this book, but you can really digest this page of Thor beating the hell out of Donald Blake, and he even says it in here. Like, he hits him, punches him, tackles him, and then he goes, no more words. And like, it was so illustrated. It was illustrated perfectly. Like, it just all came together there. And before Thor can land the blow, Odin's like, I have to finish this. This is my job. And so he calls the hammer. He calls Mjolnir. I always say that really weird.
Mjolnir.
And before he can get it, Beta Ray Bill intercepts the hammer.
Okay.
And he...
I have to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
I am not like a very audible, like I don't gasp or awe or like I just when I'm reading I'm into it and it's just in my head. When Odin called the hammer, that's on one page, and then you flip the next page and that's when Beta Ray Bill fucking bunk, like just grabs it from him. I was just like, oh shit! Like I was so excited that when
even
he did that.
even Odin was like, Beta Ray Bill, like
yeah, like. And he was in his human form too, or his humanoid form. And he grabs that hammer and just turns into the horse, and it's just like fucking woo, let's go.
So we finally figure out how Beta Ray is back in that form in Warren's run. Yeah. So Beta Ray proceeds to beat the shit out of Donald Blake with the hammer, just dunk 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 dunk. And then, almost all the characters that Donny has written. I mean, obviously not like Thanos or Cosmic Ghost Rider, but like Doctor Strange is there. He's able to imprison Blake. He's able to kind of stop him in his tracks. And then this is where we get Odin saying, like, I need to correct my wrongs here. It's my time to shine. So he's getting ready to basically execute Donald Blake, and you get a very like. You almost start feeling for Donald Blake, because essentially what he's saying is like he's telling Odin, kill me. You created me, and all I've ever wanted since I've been stuck in the tree is death, because I've been living a lie, right? And so you kind of feel for him, like he's tired, he's broken. And it's real. I find that very interesting that you automatically feel like that for a character that has been beating the shit out of all the characters that we love. So to like kind of pull that emotional spectrum from Cates, I thought was really cool. So, Odin's about to kill him with a spear, and then Loki in the background's like, no, I need him alive. But it's not in like when you see him do it, it doesn't look sinister at all. You kind of see like a shock on Loki's face, like, oh shit, like Odin's gonna kill him. And so he mends together with his magic the staff that Donald and Thor would use to summon each other. And he throws it at Thor, and then we get my favorite panel in this entire book, which is Thor coming out of the destroyer armor like fucking Iron Man, just like so. I mean, that is badass. And so as he comes out, he basically tells Odin, "No, I am the one true king, not you." So he's basically putting Odin in his place and saying, "You can't kill Donald. It's not for you to do. Right? Even though you're the source of this problem, I will not allow you to kill Donald, because I am the king of Asgard. I am the ruler of the 10 realms." Yeah. And so he basically tells Odin to fuck off. He's just like, you know where the door is. I'll see you later. Right? And then this is interesting. So when he tells Odin to take off, he goes, "Oh, also give Mother my love." And I'm like, well, which mom? Like,
oh no. No, he's obviously talking about Freya.
Well, you would think, but the Phoenix and then Gaia, like, who is it?
He's saying that to burn him because he knows Freya's left him.
I know.
Come on.
I know it's a dig. I just wanted to make a cross reference to other books that are completely fucking up his storyline. Anyway, then we get Thor essentially telling Blake, "I'm going to spare you. I'm not going to kill you." Right. Yeah. And it almost looks like it's going to be like this brotherly love moment. And he goes, "But you caused a lot of suffering, and that doesn't mean I wouldn't hurt you." And so he calls upon a bolt of lightning to just cook Donald Blake. Just gone. Mm-hmm. And so after that, Loki steps in and goes, "Hey, let me take care of this, Thor." And Thor's kind of like, "Well, what do you mean? What are you going to do?" And he goes, "You told me once to lie to you. Do you want me to lie to you now?" And we don't get the answer. And we immediately cut to Donald Blake in the dungeon at Loki's place, chained up. And Loki basically tells him, "You wanted to become a god. You wanted to be all powerful. You wanted to be one of us. So I'm going to grant you your wish. You now are the god of lies, essentially. I am abdicating my role as the god of lies, and you now are the god of lies. And we see this serpent, and I think it's one of his sons. If I'm not mistaken, Loki has 2 sons in like Norse mythology. One's a giant wolf, and I think one's a giant snake. I could be wrong there, but I'm almost certain that's it. Anyway, the snake comes down and pours venom out of his fangs onto Donald Blake's eyes, and Loki shuts the door and is like, peace. And that's how the issue ends, and you're like, wait, what happened?
Wait, what?
Whoa. So we've got a lot going on in this book. We've got some payoffs that Donny has kind of planted since the beginning of the book, which is apparently Loki may be worthy of the hammer. We don't know, but that was played, and now we've got Loki abdicating his role as the god of lies. Now we don't know if that's a power play. We don't know if that's him like being actually honest and wanting to like get off the mischievous train. We don't know. But Donny has been dropping that in his Thor run, and it's been dropped in other storylines like the Infinity War storyline, which you haven't read yet, Nate, but it's in there. So he knows something. Loki knows something, and that's been planted a hell of a while back in other comics. But overall, I was very pleasantly surprised with the finale of this arc. It wasn't what I was expecting, but it still exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I'll have to say that you can go back 6 months worth of issues or episodes and see, like, as soon as we finished the first arc and I saw it was Donald Blake, and I was just like, oh my god, no, I don't care. And I was totally wrong.
Yeah, Donny definitely threw a fastball.
I'm gonna quit doing that.
I mean, and I think it was I think Donny was bound for a rebound, with King in Black, and I know a lot of people liked King in Black, but me and you were kind of disappointed in it. So it was really refreshing to see. I just don't feel like Cates was held down by expectations in this book, even though some people had expectations for this book. I just feel like he was able to really breathe rather than I have to deliver this epicness, which was King in Black. Right. I feel like he was able to really just kind of do whatever the fuck he wanted, and not to say that he didn't do that in King in Black, but it just didn't feel rushed. It felt like Prey, the story arc, finished very well.
Yeah.
How's it going, Sarah? So,
hello.
You got anything else for this?
Nope. I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, so that's Thor, number 14, and I bet you thought that was my pick of the week, but it's not.
You asked me that earlier, yesterday, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely Thor.
Nope. It almost was, but it's not.
Almost. Yep.
Next up, we've got Children of the Atom, number 2, from Vita Ayala.
Yes. We got some tension here.
A lot.
Got a little bit of tension.
A lot of tension.
So, basically, this book opens up with Captain America, Iron Man, and Captain Marvel showing up to like a Krakoan gate, basically like a middle ground gate. Mm-hmm. Talking about what are we going to do with these kids? Like, this is a problem. Like, don't you know about Kamala's law, and like they're causing problems, and you got to get yours in line. And obviously, Mystique is the one that greets them there at first, and is going to be very snide with them. I mean, she's been a villain for the majority of her history anyway, so that makes sense.
Yeah, really quick. If anybody doesn't know what Kamala law is, it's basically like the Civil War law, but it's more attuned to teenagers. So they have this law that basically says that if you're an adolescent and you are a vigilante, you can't do that anymore. You have to be registered and all this jazz, and so
you're going to get in trouble.
Our Children of the Atom are basically in that vein. Yeah,
they are technically violating that law. Mm-hmm. Then Storm comes out to kind of as soon as I saw Storm, I was like, okay, well, she'll get this figured out. And she basically walks in and just sort of like lays it all out. And like at one point, Steve Rogers is talking to her, and I was like, Aurora this, Aurora that. And she's like, actually, you need to call me Storm.
Do you know this? Do you know that song Beyonce does, the Girls Run the World?
Yes.
That was playing the entire time she was talking to Captain America. She was like, bitch, get out of my face.
Yeah. She really comes in and just lays it all out. It's like,
Yeah.
like, listen, like, we take care of mutants. But mutants don't need to worry about human laws, and we don't need you to come here and tell us about what mutants need to be or not be doing.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And then we get a snapshot basically of Gabriel's life. Like, we get a few pages of just like what it's like to be in Gabriel's head. Gabriel is Cherub. He's the one that is in the pseudo angel suit. Yes, Archangel suit. That's not technically. That is. I don't know if that's more Archangel or Death.
I don't know.
Or maybe they're similar. I don't remember. I've read
like
I've read the Death storyline, which is in X Factor, but I have not read Archangel. Anyway,
Gotcha. Yep.
We get a really interesting, kind of look into his head and in his life, and he says some pretty profound things, I think, that are really applicable to life. He basically speaks about his experience as a black man and is like, everybody just assumes that I'm up to no good, and that I'm good at is playing basketball, but I've also been super advanced in math all my life, or most people think that I just have, like, I'm just another black boy without a dad, but my dad died of cancer, and I'm actually like a really good brother and a really good son, and I help take care of my family. I bet people think that I don't have any skills, but I'm actually a really good painter. It flows well, though. Like, it basically flows like him throughout his morning, having a conversation with his mom and his little sister, as he is going, to get ready for the day.
Yep.
I just thought it was a really nice little, couple page character analysis. And basically that's when he asks his mom if he can go to the Dazzler concert, and she eventually, relents. And so they go to the Dazzler concert. And while they're at the Dazzler concert, he sort of talks about his relationship, or his why he looks up to the X-Men, why he looks up to mutants, that that they're relatable, that they're both thought of as trouble or freaks, or that they're dangerous, but when they're really not. And they also run into Cole, which we were introduced to in the first issue. At first it kind of seemed like there was like a weird, like maybe they were rivals, and now it almost seems very different.
Well, we get more of the backstory between their relationship.
Yeah, we see that these guys are really close. And like at one point, Cole says like, I got into Dazzler when you came to the hospital, and you played a song for me, and I've just I've loved her ever since, and yada yada. So the first half of this book to me is a really, I guess, not a superhero book. So
No.
if that if you need just punchy, then you're not gonna like the first half of this book. But
It escalates to that at one point.
well, that's what I'm saying. And then while they're in the concert, they're buying like shirts and posters, and they're like ready to go in, and then all of a sudden they see I can't remember what he calls it, Nightcrawler or something.
Nightcrawler, but then he changes his name to like Daywalker or just something
No.
stupid.
It is silly. So it doesn't matter. No. 90 Nightcrawler is what he changed it to. They call him Daycrawler.
Oh, there you go.
He doesn't like that. He wants to call him 90 Nightcrawler.
So dumb.
Anyway, they see that possibly the Hellspells have resurfaced again, and so they suit up and they go run in. And there's a typical fight. It's the Hellspells are there. They're causing trouble, so they get there, they fight. Just get very. To me, it was very. I don't know, very basic action sequences, nothing super crazy, no panels that were like really insane. At one point, 90 Nightcrawlers they're like, all right, we got to get out of here, let's teleport out of here. They just teleport one room over, and they're like, all right, like I think we're okay, and they're trying to regroup, and then that one Hellspell lady just like punches through the wall and was like, seriously, one room over? Like we can hear you talking.
Fucking hear you, Rose.
And then, right as it seems like they're gonna kind of get their asses kicked, Storm shows up, and it's like, guys, like, no.
Yeah.
And at one point, the one of the Hell's Bells girls says, like, that they need the money to get their powers back, that they don't want to have to go back to Krakoa to, and basically live with people with their powers while they don't get them.
Right.
So they for sure don't realize that they can go back to Krakoa and get their powers.
Yeah, well, it just seems like it's just not known knowledge outside of anyone that hasn't been there that the Crucible exists.
Well, it would make sense, though, like that you don't really want humans to know that you can resurrect.
Right, yeah. No, you're right. I'm just saying, like, they're just not making it well-known knowledge even to their own people. Like, they're not even, like Xavier and Cerebro isn't shooting into the other mutants that don't have their powers like, hey, come here, we can get your powers back, because he doesn't know what they're going to do. He's just offering a genuine invitation. Well,
and that's that's the whole thing. Storm basically does the repitch with them. Krakoa is for all mutants.
Yep.
Like, you've broken human laws, that's fine. We get that, and we're gonna have to talk about it. But like, come back home. We want you here. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
And so she convinces Hell's Bells to go back with her. And then she says something to the kids and is basically like, hey, like, y'all, like, it's kind of getting dangerous out here for y'all. Like, she doesn't say like the Avengers showed up, but she's like, it's just getting kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And she's like, just come. She's like, I know you want to see your family. Just come hang out with us till everything dies down. Then you can go back and see your families again. And Cyclops laughs. It's just like, no, thanks. We're good. Appreciate it. And so everyone leaves. And then the last panel is all the kids back in their normal clothes again, saying like, all right, you ready? Let's try again. And it seems like they're about to try to walk through a Krakoan gate again.
Yeah. Real quick, Jaden says, I tried to read this and open my mind, but I don't enjoy these kids at all. Hey man, it's not every book is for everybody. And definitely Children of the Atom is definitely a complete out left field book when it comes to the X books. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that. With Teenie Howard's X Corp coming up. We don't know what way the X is going to be, but I think they're definitely expanding. Hickman and the X team are definitely expanding stories that are being told outside of like a general X-Men book, which we're getting a new #1 here soon by remind me his name again because I'll say it wrong and you'll get pissed.
Jerry
Duggan. But yeah, it's I'm still having a hard time with the book as well sometimes, but that being said, I am intrigued because there are many theories of who these kids are and if they're actually human, if they're mutants, if they've had powers and they were taken away, or we don't know. I mean, it's looking more and more like they're just regular humans that are imitating mutants and that they're using tech to exhibit powers, and we just don't know. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the first time they tried to go through the gate, they were wearing their costumes, and the second time that they're about to go through the gate, they're not wearing their costumes. So maybe that's not it. I don't know. That's what's keeping me in this book. Outside of like, I do like the genuine character development, like Cherub and his normal life. I thought that was really cool, and just talking about those social norms, whether it's a black male or female, or even, let's break it down to any other race, like an Asian person, like, oh, well, they're automatically smart and they're a bookworm and they don't do anything else, where they could be interested in cooking or drawing or the arts, you know what I mean? Like, we're definitely hitting those social, I don't even want to say norms, but they're just what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes, I guess.
Yeah. Right, they're bucking the stereotype.
Yeah, and so we're just kind of getting that more break in, and like I said, like, this book isn't for everybody, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I have enjoyed the first 2 issues enough that like I'm still going to continue going on. I trust Vita Ayala and what they're doing. Their work over on the New Mutants book especially is really good.
And that book is like out of control pace. Like that thing, it's like Batman from last week. It's just, you are all over the place.
And I think you can tell from how different these books are that they're trying to do something very specific here. Now that could totally fall flat, and we could be at a Fallen Angels point where we're 6 issues in, a book is canceled, and we go, listen, that book was bad.
Yeah.
It had promise. We thought it was going somewhere, and it fell flat. So honestly, like Jaden, I wouldn't, if this isn't for you, like right now, you're 2 issues in, just put that book towards something else that you think you'll enjoy more.
For sure.
And you can always come back to it if you hear us talk about issues 3 and 4, and like, okay, maybe this seems a little bit more like, where we're going. But, I think there are certain books that like, you can read and you're just like, oh yeah, I see where this is going and I like it. And there are certain books you can go, I see where this is going and I don't like it. And right now I'm very intrigued. But I also think this book is doing something that, I mean, to be frank, like it's not a lot of books are doing right now. And I am interested in modern superhero comic books tackling social issues,
which they've, we've always discussed that in prior episodes. Like, it's kind of the norm. It's just been there, and people are just not realizing it, which is very odd.
Well, yes, but sometimes you can do it in a contrived way, and I think that the way that this book was first presented, and it's really long they extremely build up because of the pandemic and stuff, it really seemed like this book was pandering, that they were they were just trying to do it to check a box.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're just gonna we're gonna put out Children of the Atom so we can say we've got a strong black male, and it's like at the end of this book, Nighty Night says something. They say something about his like she's gonna be your girlfriend, and he says, "Ew, girls, gross," like hinting that maybe he's gay. And so, like, obviously, like, we have certain characters, Cyclops last looks like she might be non-binary or something. We have a lot of characters that do seem to be checking these boxes. And it seemed like maybe this book was just a filler to check those boxes and say, we did it and we can move on. But what they've done is they've taken a really talented writer that's from this community and is writing intriguing characters, at least in my opinion. Yeah. And putting it into a universe, X-Men, Mutants, that I enjoy. Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes. So we'll see.
Getting back to the book, here's where I'm not saying I'm frustrated. I just don't understand the move, because we've kind of broken this down before in the first issue. Like, Storm says to the kids, like, Cerebro can't pick y'all up, right? That's a red fucking flag. Like, like, you would think that Professor X would be going through that gate right now going like, who the fuck are y'all? Right? But he's not. Like, obviously he's got other things to deal with. He's got an entire nation to run. I get it. But then what's crazy about this is that before they, convene or, walk away, Storm gives them a tracker, right? She gives them, and she's like, here, take this. Whenever you need anything, just hit this button and I'll be there. And I'm like, you don't even know if they're mutants. Like, you're just assuming. And she says it herself. Cerebro can't find you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not getting this vocal about it because I didn't like the premise. I'm just like, something's not connecting. Either someone's in the way or, they're just assuming. But like, is that, for me, it's like, all right, well, so should I follow the blind faith of Storm and the rest of the X-Men to think that these are mutants? Like, that's why I find
it does seem that everyone's taking them at face value in a way that I wouldn't expect them to.
Exactly. So that's why I'm like,
that does make sense. That is, I would say that is something that I hope gets explained, because right now that does seem a little out of character for
and
Storm and some others.
That's why it's intriguing to me for this book, because now I want to know, like, are they humans? Are the humans playing mutants? Are they playing House? Or, what is it? Like, that to me is the biggest. Like, I like the character development, like you said, in my opinion, I like that. But the bigger thing for me is like, who the fuck are these kids? Like, like they're just not being found out. And I want to know, like, is it just people trying to accept, like, they feel like they're mutants, but they're humans, but they know deep down that they're mutants? I want to know what it is. So that's what's keeping me in the book even more. Is that question. And I know it's got some people a little flustered. Comic Book Herald, I watched his video on this, and he broke the book down on a technical level, and it's turning him off you know, it's turning him off every book that comes out, but it's more of a technical aspect, like the paneling and the action being kind of clunky and all that. But what's keeping him in the book is the intrigue of like who the hell these kids are.
Right.
And that's kind of where I sit on the book. So
Anyway,
that's
a lot of time on Children of the Atom.
sorry. So that is Children of the Atom number 2. You know, we're going to continue to pull it, and like we said, it's not for everybody, but at least you took a dab, and that's what we like the most, is that you take a chance on a book and just see where it goes. Next up, oh boy, we got Wolverine number 11. This one's going to be short.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed the Wolverine run, but that being said, when issue 1 came out and it was split between 2 stories and the second story was about vampires, I was out. I'm just not, for me, again, this is all opinion based. It's just not, vampires aren't my thing in comics. I just don't, you know, I like Blade, don't get me wrong. Blade's a dope character, and it's appropriate to have, for me, I think is appropriate to have vampires in, because that's what he does. He's a vampire hunter. Right? But in Wolverine, they just feel out of place, even though the story that they're telling in this arc makes total sense, and it's very intriguing. I'm just over vampires. So
yeah, I was gonna say it. I think it is a good writing connection to say, okay, I want to write a story about vampires. How do I get vampires to get stronger, or an ability they can't get? Power regeneration. Oh, use Wolverine's blood. Like, that's smart. It makes sense. It's a good writing ploy. You and I just both happen to not give a shit
about vampires.
Vampires. And I think I said this to you earlier too, but I was like, there are certain things that show up in Marvel comics that I just don't think of them as their real world analogs. Like when I think of Thor and Odin, I don't think of the Norse gods like that I learned about in school or something. Like that's what I think about. Yeah. When I think about like Dracula and like werewolves or like Frankenstein or something, like I can't get the other, like the movies version, the Twilight and that kind of stuff. I can't get that out of it. And so I feel so disconnected. When Dracula shows up and we have vampires, I'm like, the Marvel universe, I don't feel like it cohesive. Well,
now, that being said,
probably a product of when we started reading too.
Well, that too, but like it's also like you flip the coin and you've got comics back in the day, you know, when Stan Lee was actually in it, you know, the publisher or whoever was writing the checks was like, well, these are the most popular things right now, so write about these, right? But I'm sure you've just got writers that are like, oh, I remember those, so let's do that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just for me, I'm just like, next, let's go, let's get on to the next thing, resolve this shit. Anyway, let's get into the book. We kind of started the analysis prior to the synopsis. Yep. So the synopsis of the book is basically, Dracula is trying to figure out a way to get a hold of Wolverine to get to his blood so that him and his vampires can walk during the day and not have to continuously get a recharge if they do so. Because Dracula did get a little bit of Wolverine's blood, and it worked for a little bit, right? But he needs more. He needs the source. So what we get in here is just Dracula doing the same thing, but also we get more insight to what happened to Omega Red on Krakoa, with him becoming a double agent for Krakoa. And it seems like Dracula has no idea that Omega is playing double agent for Beast and Wolverine. I highly doubt that's true. I'm sure that, the dude's been around forever. I'm sure he's seen this coming from a mile away. But as of this issue, he has no idea that one, Omega has been resurrected and that he's been programmed by Beast and Wolverine to gather intel. And so we get a little bit of that. We get more insight to Dracula and what he's using in order to obtain Wolverine's blood. And then we have, I think her name's Louise or Lisa. I can't remember. She's on the cover. Yeah, she was in the first issue of the beginning of that arc, where she's part of this like society that hunts vampires, and we find out in this issue that her group was ambushed by Dracula and the vampires, and they all got killed, and she supposedly survived. But then we find out that she's actually a vampire too, and she's fighting the urges, and so Wolverine allows her.
She's fighting the urges by inoculating herself with garlic and holy water.
Yeah, that was like okay, but basically, Wolverine lets her drink his blood, so he's doing a solid for her. And then we see that I guess another member had survived. We don't know if it's a vampire or not, but he sees this happen. So that's basically this book in a nutshell. The writing's fine, the dialogue's fine, it reads fine. It's just I'm not into vampires right now, and so I just read it and I was like, oh, cool. All right, let's get to the Hellfire Gala, please. I'll be interested. I think the issue I think is the last part of this arc. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. But overall, it was a solid C-. It just wasn't, and that's only because of my preference. It wasn't because the writing was horrible or the art was bad. It just wasn't. I just don't enjoy vampires. So
It's that easy.
that's Wolverine number 11. On to the next one. Next up, we've got Fantastic Four 30. This also will be a short one. This was definitely a non-essential, just affirming plot lines issue. Slott was stuck in the event, even though the event ended, so he just reaffirmed all the chaos that's going on with the Marvel's first family, essentially. Ben has... The one thing we can say is Noel brings out your most inner thought, even if it's controversial, right? So Ben is still shooken from his vision with the... remind me of her name. The... starts with a D? Destructor or anti...
I can't remember.
Anyway, he was put into a nightmare in one of those issues, and he saw that he ends up killing Mr. Fantastic because at the end of the day, Mr. Fantastic only is more ambitious for science than his family, and so he ends up getting everybody killed. So he ends up killing Reed. So when he's nullified, he's continuing this thought train of how Reed is just solely about gaining knowledge over anything. Mm-hmm. And so that's affirmed. We're also, Human Torch was nullified, so he's all about how Sue is like this motherly figure, and she never lets Johnny experience life without being watched, and that Sue never trusts him, and so that's being played out too. So they're all, Thing and Human Torch are saying really nasty things to their family. That's basically this first half of the book. And then they're trying to break into the house, the big facility
Street house.
Yeah, Yancey Street house. And he at one point they get they're there and they're beating the shit out of these two guys, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna go behind the store now. Slam. And then the nullified Thing and Human Torch are like, well, we tried, we're gonna go back and fight in the main event. And that's how the whole King in Black thing, it's literally Slott was like, I don't give a shit about this, so I'm just gonna make them turn around and fight in the real fight. And so then we cut to several days later, and the family is helping rebuild the neighborhood, and we get an apology from Reed to Thing, and we kind of get some closure with Sue, but then we find out at the end of the issue that she's still spying on Johnny, and she doesn't trust Sky, and this issue just felt unnecessary. I think they could have done issue 30 as the issue that starts the Dr. Doom wedding. There was no closure with the King in Black tie-in. It was sloppily done. So I don't see why it was even necessary to do a third issue. They could have just been and he could have written one page and it resolved. If you're gonna treat it that way. So I was I was extremely disappointed with this issue. It just felt like Slott was pass, and he just got it out really quick. I'm sure it's because he was probably still writing the next coming issues. So, C- for sure.
Yeah, not my fave.
All right, we're just going to go on to the next book. Next up, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy 175 Legacy 13 from Al Ewing. You got anything to say about it?
Do you have anything to say?
No, you tell me if you got anything. Do you have anything to say about it?
My pick of the week.
Hey, it's mine too.
That's the guy.
Oh, new animation. It's the guy's pick of the week. We're going to play it again.
That's the guy.
Damn. Oh, so you did one for a double.
Yes.
Oh.
So I've got new animations for pick of the week. We got That's the Guy's pick of the week. We got If This Wasn't My Pick of the Week.
That's Nate's.
Oh. I can't hear it, but I hope it's great.
It's pretty badass. And then we've got mine.
That's Jim's. Pick of the week.
Nice.
But that being said, this is
That's the guy's pick of the week.
I've overplayed the button. Go ahead.
All right. Let's do some synopses here.
Here we go.
So we start out on Throne World 2 to be exact. Basically, the ruins of Hala, which was destroyed during the Kree-Shi'ar War. By the way,
and this is straight up epicness right here. This showing the planet. Oh man.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So basically, we show up there. The sacred ruins of Hala are being invaded by the progenitors or something. I can't remember exactly how to say that. But
fucking weird. That's all I gotta say.
the weird guys. They're like celestial adjacent creature dudes. And we see that Hulkling is ordering like an evacuation of the entire planet. He's like, "Get off the planet. We're on our way, but get the fuck off." And then we cut to my favorite panel that we've had in comics in a while.
Ooh. Just
because I love the continuity cohesion.
Okay.
We cut to Klurt in the proscenium, and which is basically the base that they are going to start using. They mentioned it in previous issues, but you see Klurt basically with his thing arms, like he's manipulating like a giant touch screen. And you see hints of literally every crisis that's going on in the galaxy right now that they know of. You see Snark War at the top going on. On the left, you see Throne World in its current issues. You see Chandelar in the middle, which is the Shi'ar capital. And it says ongoing political unrest. The X-Men have responded. Yeah, we've known about that from the first the Hickman art on New Mutants, which I cannot wait until we go back and touch on that a little bit more.
Yep.
We see. I love that they put the Iron Man stuff on here and like the issues with Korvac.
Yep.
I don't know. They just got my cosmic space nerd going. Basically, we see that they're trying to juggle, everything that's going on, all these galactic problems. And, Klurt's trying to say Nova, like, hey, you need to get your team over to Throne World. And Nova's like, I get it, but listen, like, look, we got a lot of shit going on. And then we cut to our second team, or he says, basically, hey, keep me updated on what the other team's doing on RimWorld. So there's this other RimWorld number, blah, 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 on the outskirts of the galaxy. Or the universe, I guess, that they are looking for some surveyors that have gone missing, that have just, quit communicating. And so this team that's out there is Phyla-Vell, Marvel Boy, Quasar, and Drax. And they find the surveyors. They're all burned on stakes.
Fucking dead.
Dead. Burned on stakes. They are in... no good. And then they notice that on the bottom is like ancient scroll text on the bottom. And they're like, oh, this is very interesting. And then we cut back to Throne World. We see Teddy fighting off these progenitors. And one of the things that they do is they experiment on creatures, and they like shoot mists that can mutate you.
Manipulate,
and that's exactly what they do to Teddy. They like spray him, and he like gets all gnarled and gets fangs, and horns start growing, and Wiccan's like, oh shit, and like captures him in a bubble and like starts, I don't know, yelling magic.
So what he says is that the toxin is manipulating his scroll part of his body, so it's affecting
Yeah.
his scrollness.
Yeah, it's his shape shifting is out of control, is what he says. And then we get our second Guardian team flying in. And here we have Peter, Groot, Nova, Moondragon, Gamora, and Rocket. And I'm sure this is your favorite panel of the book because it shows Peter Quill's big ass long fingernails.
But they're not that bad. I'm just saying this right now. They're not that bad.
They're just as bad. It's gross, and I don't understand it. Why is that a detail that we took from another artist and said, that's a good idea?
Well, clearly, there's something going on, and we're going to find out. But continue.
There's going to be a storyline about his nails.
Well, there's probably going to be a storyline about his appearance, and we get a little bit of that, like his appearance and his just mind in general. Like, there's something going on with Peter.
We're moving on here.
Okay, continue.
I was frustrated.
You're the one that brought it up,
not
not me.
But I'm still frustrated by it. So basically, they come. Everyone gets, they kick the progenitor's ass, stop them.
Whoa, you're cutting out like a really cool spot.
What?
When Peter does his power up of Groot.
No, see, I'm trying to leave a little bit of tidbits.
But it's cool.
Okay, so Groot comes in, and Peter uses his all weapon.
If you don't want to spoil it, I'll just say that when Peter does do this thing, it's fucking cool. It's almost like to me, it's got a very like I wouldn't say Power Rangers, but it's a very like anime Japanese like jujitsu like boom, and he does like this freaking power up thing. It's really kick ass. So
that is cool. Also, if you have ever read Thanos Quest, and you remember about the interaction between Thanos and the Gardener, what happens to the Gardener? This happens to a progenitor.
I don't feel like I've read that.
I don't think you've read Thanos Quest.
But
it's a setup for Infinity War.
Okay.
Anyway, they basically fight and destroy and defeat the progenitors. Yay!
Yeah, they wreck them.
And after the fight, it seems like Gamora's like straight up trying to make up. She's like, "All right, we're kind of weird, but like let's."
She was a total hard ass to him, and now she's like,
"Yeah." Now she's like, "Okay," and then now he's like, "Actually, I need more time." I have a son over there, and
right. So that's my theory. Outside of like, I bet Ewing was like, you need to keep the fingernails because the fingernails and the whole like his whole appearance is just another layer to this whole like Peter is not the same.
Except you could do all that and not have the fingernails.
I know you could be on your spaceship and you could clip your fucking nails, but clearly that is not on Peter Quill's.
No,
agenda. It's
even worse than that because they're not just like gnarly. He purposefully manicures them long.
Right.
But it's like, it's not that I'm
sure Ewing is waiting for someone like us to review it and be like, what the fuck's up with the like, I might even put Guardians of the Galaxy number 13, our pick of the week. What the fuck is up with Peter Quill's fingernails? Yes, that might be the thumbnail right there.
Oh my god. Okay.
If not, I'm putting it across the screen in the edit.
Yes. So after we have that weird interaction, the kind of awkward, sad interaction between Gamora and Peter. Yeah, I don't like them apart. Anyway.
No.
We go back to RimWorld, where we see that Quasar and Avril Kincaid are sort of bonded by the quantum bands and can do the old school clap clap bands and switch places. Now there's a little asterisk that says something about Guardians of the Galaxy Annual 1 from the Donny Cates run, which I have not read, and
don't remember that, and I read it too.
I don't have a clue who Avril Kincaid is. I don't know, but I'm interested, and I'm going to go find out after. I'm going to go find out later because I'm curious.
Quick aside: Professor Comics says Peter has talons now. Pretty much. We haven't seen him in action, but he does have talons now.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe the plot point is that he's just going to like.
Maybe like his gun like falls out of his hands and he has no other defense, so he's just like think. Like he just.
Maybe. Anyway,
how does he wipe his butt? Jaden says, "How does he wipe his butt?" Very carefully,
very painfully.
Right,
it's got to be very painfully. But Quasar and or Wendell, I guess I should say, because they're both Quasar. Wendell and Avril switch places so that Avril can sort of use her spy powers, her spy abilities, stealthiness to see what's going on. Really, it's not necessary because it's a huge, giant, massive cult meeting with a huge scroll shrine with fire and all of these massive people in robes. Like, it's straight up like a cult, like hardcore. And it turns out that this is these are like ancient exiled scrolls world that have sort of taken in a bunch of different alien races from around the galaxy that have been affected by the recent galactic upheaval. They're up to no good. So I think these are going to be our baddies for a little bit. And then finally, we cut back to our team that's still on Throne World, and they're all kind of getting ready to team up. And then the sky turns green, and we get lightning coming down, thundering down on everybody, and everyone just fucking boom, just instantly on the ground, out, done. Just like it was nothing. And who is it?
The doctor is in.
Dr. Doom, and he just picks up Hulkling's sword and is like, the doctor is here.
So I was definitely confused. I mean, in a good way. I was confused about this part. Because Moondragon is sifting through one of the, again, what are they called? The big celestial eye.
The progenitors.
She's sifting through their minds to figure out why they were there. Yeah. And it's basically, you find out that they were not told, but they were guided to the planet. And so was that Doom that did that, I would assume?
We don't know for sure. I mean, it's open-ended on purpose.
Okay. Because he's going on and on and on about how he is the rightful heir to the cosmos and goes just total power trip. So
classic Doom. That's what he does.
But that for me that was the nail in the coffin for making this my pick of the week. This book, Ewing fucking hit it out of the park. Synopses wise, this just didn't feel like his first run, the first part of this run. It just felt like a total revamp. And it had everything. It had, the social issue, or not the social issues, but the deep dive depositions, right? It had all that. But it also had a good mix of action and intrigue, and then a fucking cliffhanger. I was like, whoa, that's huge, man. I knew Doom was coming. I just didn't know Doom was coming like that. I didn't know he was just gonna show up like that.
That's how Doom does, man. He goes all in every time. You never know if he's gonna decide to be a good guy or bad guy.
Yeah, but
Mostly bad guy.
The biggest thing that got me was Peter Quill doing his galaxy jiu-jitsu on Groot, and because it looked like he was gonna shoot him, and I think even Rocket, somebody was like, don't do that, don't. And he was like, you don't understand what I'm doing, and he broke it down on a molecular level of what plants need in order to become strong, and then he shot Groot, and I was like, that's fucking awesome. That detail of Peter Quill in the first arc has definitely shifted over. He's still doing this cosmic other world, I'm in three places at once thing, and I'm totally for it, outside of the fingernails, of course. Anyway, but yeah, that's why it was my pick of the week. Why was it your pick of the week?
Well, I mean, honestly, it was all of it. It's my pick of the week because I'm just a cosmic nerd, and it honestly it shows Al Ewing has a grasp, I think, of these characters. We went a little off board with a couple of issues, but I really think Al Ewing has a grasp of cosmic continuity, and I just like seeing all these characters that I really enjoy all together. Seeing Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, Nova, and Peter Quill. It makes me feel like I'm reading Annihilation again. Just having all of these characters together, I really like it. And now we've got Wendell Vaughn back in the mix, and I think Wiccan and Hulkling are really fun additions. Really, I'm excited for them to be part of the team.
And I'll add on that. For me, I don't know a lot about these characters, but Ewing drops so many seeds of like, well, where's this going to go? Well, where's this going to go with multiple characters? Like, I have not read one lick of thing about Quasar. And when he was in this book, I was like, who the fuck is that? Why is he going the ting, ting, ting? And now he's transforming. Like, so many questions. And in a good way, rather than being like, so many questions, I'm never picking this book up again. It was like, no, I need to learn more. I think Ewing has... Whatever criticism he got at Marvel about having the Greek gods in has definitely, like, fully charged this revamp in issue 13 for sure.
I'm so glad they just, sometimes I feel like, Marvel or DC is just so quick to just be like, let's cut it off. Especially at 12, they can call it a maxi series and they'll just say it was a 12-issue run and we're done, and start with a new person. Like I know Al Ewing is like one of their number one, if they're numbered 1 or number 2 writer right
he's
now.
He's the elite,
so
yes. For
obviously, he's going to get a long leash, but like, I'm just glad that we just sort of just got a little bit of a pushback, a little bit more of a realignment, and I don't think that there could have been a better issue for the new beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to do this one more time because I really want to like show that everybody knows that we've got this new animation. But just a reminder that this is
That's the gas. Pick of the week.
Yeah.
Hopefully it sounds great.
It does sound great. Trust me. Watch back when I pull this as one of the segments. You'll hear it and it's gonna sound dope. Because Professor Comics, Jaden, you heard that right? Like you can hear that proper. I'm gonna go to the next book, but let me know in chat if you heard that. So next up, we've got Black Cat number 5, part 1, the Gilded City. Wow. Was not expecting the direction of this book. We cut to, at the beginning, going back in time with Felicia and Fox, her mentor, and it's just kind of her basically graduating from Fox and saying, I'm going out on my own. I don't need to learn anymore from you. I've become the master, so the student has become the master now. And so there's just it sounds awesome, Jaden says. Perfect. Basically, now... we cut to the past, and it's just showing this relationship that Fox and Felicia had prior to her becoming Black Cat. And so it's just kind of setting you up for this like bond of that they're fairly grounded in their relationship. So we cut to the present, and Fox and Felicia and her crew are getting ready to steal something, and what we find out is they're stealing from the vault of the Guild of Thieves or something like that. In Manhattan. And so it's just Felicia and Fox, and they're like going into like these caves, and she's getting explained to Fox that this is not a typical heist. This is going to be a little different. And so he's explaining it to her, and as he's explaining it to her, she's like, "You're off. What's going on?" And he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm dying."
By the way, just got a little bit of information for you.
Yeah, this is going to be my last heist. I'm dying. And she's like, well, shit, what do we, there's got to be something we can do. And he's like, no, I've exhausted all my resources to figure out how I could stay alive. And then he proceeds to tell her what he's done. And one of the craziest one is that Fox went to Dracula. Now, granted, I don't like vampires, right? I just got saying I don't like vampires. This is where vampires are used really well. Basically, I guess in the first run, before I got kind of pseudo-canceled, Fox and Felicia stole something from Dracula. And so when Fox goes back to Dracula to be like, I offer my services to you if you'll just make me immortal, Dracula goes, no, remember that one time in issue 1 when you stole that shit from me? Yeah, no, I'm not going to make you immortal. I'm going to watch you grow old and die. That's going to be my satisfaction. And I was like, oh, shit. Fox just got destroyed by Dracula without him ever lifting a fingernail. Speaking of fingernails. Anyway, so we get that, and then there's just some other circumstances that Fox tries to do to try to figure out how to live, and he can't. So they continue on, and then he starts telling her about what they're getting ready to steal. So what they're getting ready to steal is, it's actually it's a spirit, which is really weird to say. It's a spirit that looks over the Thief Guild's treasure. Right, and it has a pact with its original owner, who I think is dead in this book. But anyway, what he tells her is that the spirit, not only does it protect their booty, it also the booty. It also grants, outside of wealth, immortality, but only with certain like parts of the pact or something like that. So his plan is essentially to steal the spirit, and when he gets to it, he goes, she doesn't know exactly how they're gonna obtain this. So when the spirit shows up, which is it's like this 50-foot giant skeleton with like Aztecian jewelry on, and it's like, why did you summon me, blah blah blah, you're so rude. And he's like, I've come to bargain, I want to obtain you. And it's like, well, you don't understand, like the price for my services essentially are extremely high. And he goes, well, I offer up my and Felicia's life. And Black Cat's like, yo, like,
come again?
That's me. No, you can't do that. And the spirit goes, that's great. That's not enough. Like, I take this shit seriously. Like, it needs to be something of extreme value. The issue ends with Fox going, oh, okay. He has a briefcase. And he opens the briefcase, and when he pulls out whatever's in the briefcase, Felicia goes, oh shit, you're not doing that. Like, don't do that. And he goes, I offer up the island of Manhattan. And he has like a deed to the island or something like that, some kind of document. Yeah. And and Felicia's like, no. And that's how the spirit picks it up and is like, And when Fox had it, it's like a poster. And so it's like looking at it and it's deliberating if he's going to take it or not. And I think it's not just the island. I think it's like all of the inhabitants, everything on the island will become the spirit's. It'll become it'll own it. So the issue ends with the spirit basically trying to figure out if it's going to say yes or no to this. Yeah. It was a pretty this issue was very somber until we got to the point where Fox said he was going to die. He just kept on dropping bombs until he got to the very end where it was just like, I'm giving up an entire island so I can be alive forever. Threw me for a loop, and it was extremely refreshing outside of the last issue, which dealt with somebody I had no idea who it was. I didn't really care who it was. And so this definitely got, for me, Black Cat back on track. And then again, you cannot go wrong with a Pepe Larraz cover. And we're about to get more Pepe Larraz goodness when X-Men starts, but I love these covers, man. He just does a sick job.
Yep. Yeah, they're nice.
Did you read this at all?
I didn't. I completely forgot about this one.
Highly recommend you read it. I'll let you borrow it. So, that's Black Cat number 5. Next up, we got Iron Man number 8.
This is my cover of the week.
I don't have a button for that. Sorry.
That you don't need cover of the week. You don't need one. But
I'll work on it.
I don't have a lot to say about this book.
That's okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that it was a bad book. There's just not a lot that goes on. I felt like we could have had a little bit more content. But
for sure.
So basically we picked back up right where we were at in issue 7. The group is Rhodey and that mutant guy and Frog Boy Man and Gargoyle, all the weird characters, Misty Knight. Everyone's still on the ship. They're being chased by Korvac, and basically, Hellcat is still unconscious, and she is psychically visited by Moondragon. That's why we have Moondragon here on the cover. And Moondragon basically says, hey, we know what's going on. I'm way across the galaxy. I can't be there to help you, but I can't be there to help you physically, but I think I can help you in other ways.
Make you stronger.
One really cool thing is it mentions, Hellcat was like, oh, are you upset that my abilities are coming back again? You took my powers away a while ago, and it says, look back to Defenders number 77. That's from 1978. It's yeah, it happened a little while ago. Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm actually very interested. I want to go back and read that issue on Marvel Unlimited just to see what that alludes to. But
nice.
Moondragon's like, no. Just the opposite. I can tell that your powers are back, and I am here to, help you get your powers ready to go. Like, I think that you're the secret key to beating Korvac. You have this psychological connection with Korvac as it is, and I think if we can get your powers back on track, you'll be able to, help defeat him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically get like a little bit of a history lesson, or a little bit of like a preview of Hellcat's life. We get a little bit of a scene when she's in high school. We get a quick scene of her like in the principal's office. Another quick scene with what's his name? Son of Satan. What's his name?
Damien?
Is it? I can't remember. Sure.
I don't know his name either. Shout out in chat if you know who that is.
Yeah, I cannot remember his name. I mean, maybe it is Damien. That seems like obvious, but and then honestly, none of that to me personally was interesting in the slightest bit. I understood what it was trying to do, but I was just like, okay, like we're showing like damaging parts of her past, and I just it kind of felt like or this could have been used as an opportunity for new readers who don't know about Hellcat very well to learn about her past, and instead they were only mentioned briefly enough to be like, oh yeah, you remember this? Totally, like, you know Hellcat, you know all of her history, you remember this, and I don't.
Yeah, Ron says Damien Hellstorm.
That's what Hellstrom is the name I was trying to think of. Yeah, Hellstrom. Anyway, it's not until they get to basically where Hellcat is seeing herself in a padded room in a straitjacket. Moondragon says this represents your fear of your own mind, and you have to forgive yourself and free yourself. And so she does, and she hugs herself, and it's kind of weird, but I get what they're trying to do. Basically this is showing, all right, Hellcat's got her brain powers back, and what?
It's like that, brain powers.
Got her brain powers back. And so she wakes up, she's conscious again. She tells Rhodey to do some kind of crazy maneuver. And right when she does that, she uses her powers to like freak the shit out of Korvac, and they're able to escape. She pulls like a straight like Danny Moonstar, like makes his greatest fear appear.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
I was totally lost on that. I thought like he was actually like being invaded by somebody else, and that's why they got out. That totally flew over my head.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, she was using her powers to like get, connect to his fears. I think so I haven't read the original Korvac saga, which as a cosmic person, that's very embarrassing. But
wow, dude, wow.
He's like sent, I think those are like the people that originally create him or something.
Got it.
I'm not sure either, but
yeah.
They scare him.
It makes more sense that it was her constructing those. That flew over my head completely.
Gotcha. But basically they're able to escape for now. And she says the same thing the very end of this issue that I was thinking for a book about Tony Stark. Yeah. Where the hell is Tony? Yeah. Because Tony Stark is not in a single panel.
Not at all.
Of Iron Man number 8.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy more than he is in his own book.
That is actually true.
Yeah.
That is literally true.
He's on like a little window in Guardians of the Galaxy.
So, I thought it was okay. It seems like this was just an issue that Christopher Cantwell was like, I need Hellcat's powers back. This is the way we're going to do it. I felt like this could have easily been done in a less amount of time, and so we could have fit in some actual Iron Man in here. Like, we've got to go 2 months now to figure out what the hell's going on with him and where he's at and why he's there. And I'm a little frustrated by that. I feel like Iron Man should be appearing in Iron Man comics. But that being said, it wasn't a bad issue at all. Like, I didn't ever read this and go, what the fuck? This is dumb. Like, I read the whole issue, and then she goes, where's Tony? I'm like, hey, yeah, what the hell? Where is Tony?
Remind the reader.
Not like I was bored about it. So.
Well, here's my thing, and this isn't really about this issue, because I enjoyed it, but I'm same with you. Like, I was reading it, and I was, like, in it, and then she said that, and I was like, yeah, where is Tony? So the next issue, the cover is them at Galactus' ship. Are we going to get Galactus in the next book?
We better not, because Galactus is dead.
Okay. Well, I want Galactus. I was gonna say I'm kind of interested to see if he. When did he die? I mean, I don't know this, so.
You
When
don't?
did Galactus? No. I mean, at least I forgot. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, but what if he shows up? Then what?
So this could take place before that. I understand that continuity's fuzzy and like there's
That's what
no
I'm
dates set down.
Yeah.
But I here's why I don't think it works. Thor.
Sorry, I can't believe I forgot he died. Sorry.
Yes. So this is I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but like that happens at the very beginning of Thor, which clearly takes place before King in Black. And this we know this is taking place during Guardians 13 because it just tied that in.
That's true.
And we know Guardians 13 is post King in Black because that had issues to deal with King in Black.
So you're gonna be
So
pissed
timeline-
if he shows up.
I mean, I'm not. It's going to be whatever because I love Galactus,
Mm-hmm.
but I will be a little bit frustrated. It would make perfect sense for him not to be there, and for Christopher Cantwell to feel like he can use this as a plot device because it's just an abandoned ship, at least for right now, because Galactus is not around.
Well, maybe now we're gonna get, instead of Galactus, we're gonna get a Silver Surfer appearance because someone's gonna be rummaging in his ship and he shows up and he's like, "The fuck are y'all doing here?"
That would be cool too. Silver Surfer's done, helping with King in Black. He's like flying through the universe, happens to see Tatu, and is like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah,
what's going on here?"
doing a little bit of speculating. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I'm curious where this. I think I said this because I think we just had an issue of this, but
We did actually. I think.
it was like a week or two ago, like not that
Totally, yeah.
long ago. Anyway, I am really enjoying this so far. We pretty much, the first issue was like it's all like a reboot issue, but for the most part, we've got just one big long arc.
Well, what I like about that is that when it was first announced that Iron Man was getting like a reboot, and everyone was speculating, well, this is just going to be so that we can get like the casual reader back on Iron Man, and like this is not that at all. Like this is.
Well, and what I thought was really funny was a lot of people read the first issue and were like, Iron Man's back to being a what was the phrase? Street level hero. And I just love, because they had no idea, because that's very much what he was dealing with, and they were like, we're glad Iron Man's back to street level hero. He's been dealing with this like AI and robot shit and blah blah blah, and then here we are fucking doing moon dragon psychic fights going towards Galactus's ship, and I'm just like, fuck yes.
I'm just very interested.
Exactly what I want out of an Iron Man book.
I want to see what Cantwell, like, who else he can stuff in this book, because like that's another thing. Like he's just been like packing in characters.
Yeah, he's pulling a little bit of a Peter David right now.
Oh, for sure, dude. And I'm kind of, again, that's just me being who I am. I would love to see a version of Cosmic Ghost Rider in this, just like for like a panel, be like, hey, and then just like go away, just to put him in there.
That would be funny. That'd be funny if it was him rummaging on the ship.
Right, there you go. So that is Iron Man number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Chip Zdarsky's Spider-Man Spider's Shadow. This book initially was not presented to us as a What If series, but when it came out, that little logo at the top, it is a new What If series from Marvel, and we get a beautiful Phil Noto cover on this book. I know you weren't as hot on this book as I was, and I totally get that. The art is definitely not what I was expecting. But that being said, the fact, like, what got me on this book, the entire build up for this book. So if you don't know what this is, I don't really want to break down too much of it, but essentially it leads up to, Parker getting the symbiote suit and dealing with it trying to manipulate him, and him trying to figure out what it is, which is an original story within the Spider-Man canon. And then at one point within that, he goes to see Reed Richards to analyze the suit, right? So we get that build up in here, but before that, he fights the Goblin. The Goblin kind of ticks him off. He ends up ripping the Goblin's mask off, and it reveals his identity. that pushes Goblin over the edge. Peter's having nightmares of, prominent family members and friends dead. So he wakes up and just like a total like this isn't working, and he's trying to figure out essentially what is the connection of these two things. And so when he goes to Reed, he tells him like, hey, I'm having these like shitty nightmares. I'm trying to figure out the suit. It's been working fine until the other day when I was like trying to like web myself onto a wall and it didn't produce the webbing. And, there's a connection because at the time he was thinking about getting the suit analyzed. The suit was clearly like kind of fucking with him. Like, don't do that. Like, don't try to think you're going to take me off. So at this point, we're pretty much in line with what Spidey would do with the suit. So in this book, when he gets it analyzed, instead of immediately taking it off because he finds out that it's like trying to like get into his brain and like become one with him, he ends up keeping it and keeping the suit on because Parker feels at one with himself. He feels at most at home when he's got the symbiote suit on, and obviously that's the suit like altering his brain and how he feels. And so he leaves he ends up leaving the laboratory of Reed Richards, and he ends up like kind of breaking. I don't think he breaks it, but he like jacks up Reed Richards' hand. And so he ends up basically going to see Aunt May. He hasn't seen her in a while because he dropped out of school. She was pissing him. There's this big old thing. So he went to go see her. Well, while he's going to see Aunt May, the Goblin, who's really pissing him for fucking like changing the game, breaking the rules, which I think is hilarious. Like, you're a fucking supervillain. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do to you. But he wants to get revenge on Spidey for, basically Spidey knows who he is, so he's gonna try to figure out who Peter Parker is, or who Spidey is, who it's Peter Parker. And he ends up attacking the Aunt May's house, and she, he throws a goblin bomb or whatever at the house. It blows up. He covers her, but then he immediately goes, like, the suit like activates, and he's immediately aggressive, and he goes after the Goblin. Starts beating the shit out of him. Like, not like, oh, this is another fight, whammoo. Like, it's more like, no, I'm going to kill you. And before he can do it, he realizes that Aunt May is in the building, and I gotta actually look at it because I don't remember what stops him. It's the Goblin, but I can't remember exactly why or how the Goblin stops him. So he throws it. Oh, it's just his hubris. He's just beating the like. His aggressiveness is stopping him from thinking clearly and like going to save Aunt May. So by the time his Spidey senses like kick in, it's too late. And so when he turns to go help Aunt May, the house explodes, like boom, and we assume that she's dead. Like, she done died. And so at this point, Goblin's trying to walk away. Like, he's like, fuck this shit. This did not go the way I thought it would go. And the suit and Peter's anger just boils over. And we get a symbiote that doesn't look quite like Spider-Man anymore. And you can actually see like a reflection of a skull when the mask goes over Peter's face. Like, total, like, just very intense version of the symbiote Spider-Man suit. And so he captures the Goblin, and he goes, basically, I'm going to kill you now. And he crushes, he tangles up Goblin, puts him in a tree, and he proceeds to crush his skull. And just, and that's,
like, pokes his eyes in.
Yep. And he's basically like, I have the power now. Or he pulls the Captain Phillips. He's like, I'm the captain now. And just kills him and then leaves. And so Goblin's body is just hanging in a tree, just like lifeless. And Peter leaves. And it's just like, uh-oh. Right? Ooh. So when the issue ends, there is a really nice, page worth of dialogue from Chip basically saying, we're bringing back these what if issues, but instead of it just being confined into one issue, we're going to do it through a series of books, mini-series. So I think this is the one of many that, not necessarily just from Chip, but I think we can probably see, a Donny Cates and Al Ewing, anybody, any prominent writer at Marvel and or up and coming is probably going to start writing a What If. So I think we're going to see more What If books coming from Marvel. And, you know, now that we've got a What If cartoon show coming out in Disney Plus, you might see one of these storylines get adapted later on, you know, in a year or so, or 2 years from now, from this new What If series. And I am extremely excited for it. Again, the art threw me off a little bit, but by the time I got to the back end of the book, I was like, don't care. This is fucking awesome. Like, Peter is basically Venom in this book.
Yeah, I will say that this book is Spider-Man fans only, and like big Spider-Man fans only.
So,
it's Professor not a terrible
Comics,
book.
No, I was gonna say if Professor Comics is here, you gotta let me know what you thought of this book because I really enjoyed it. I am super symbiote burnt out right now. Right.
I think this book caught me at a wrong time. I'm very burnt out on symbiotes. I'm not a huge Spider-Man person, and so I just wasn't really that interested. The art, listen, I'm not going to say it's bad because I'm no artist. Like, I can't draw anything like this, but it just didn't do it for me personally. This book really missed me. Like, it just sort of like.
So are you going to pick up the next 3? Because I think it's only a 4-part series.
It's a 4-part series. So I think the next issue has so we got Phil Noto covers. Yeah, I'll probably pick up the next issue.
If there's one thing, Phil Noto kind of gets you back in it.
Phil Noto gets me in. I'm also it's Chip Zdarsky, and he's never done anything bad that I've read.
You weren't really on his silver coin.
Oh, that's true. Oh God. Zdarsky's lost it. Daredevil's dead.
Oh, just stop it. Stop. I enjoyed it. It was almost my pick of the week, but Guardians just had more going on in it. But I'm definitely intrigued, and I think the what if aspect of it has got me intrigued. And the Chip Zdarsky's got me intrigued. And you know, the back end of the book, it was just like, fuck, dude, like. I mean, I get it. He killed your aunt, but you kind of fucked up too. You know, you should have been quicker on your feet, less quick to anger. Anyway, that's Spider-Man Shadows #1, Spider Shadow. Definitely looking forward to the next book. Yes. Next up, sticking to the Spidey train, we got Nonstop Spider-Man #2. Again, I'm enjoying this, but the bar is extremely low with Nick Spencer's run. So, but that being said, I think it's a really fun book. I know some people are not on this book. I know Robbie over at Pop Culture was like, I'm out. Jem was kind of like, but for me, I liked it. The artwork for me is not distracting. I like it a lot. I do like the pacing. I like the chaoticness of it. That might be saying something about my brain and how I work. I mean, when I do work, I have music on, I have news on, I got all kinds of shit going on in my office when I'm working. So maybe this book was literally built for me. But overall, I like this book. So we're continuing this idea that there's this cartel or this group selling drugs to smart kids to actually kind of dumb them down. But we find out that the drug has adverse effects with people who are technically not so smart, and they're making them smart. So Spider-Man does a little bit of detective work in this book, trying to figure out what happened to his friend. And what he finds out is that, this drug is being used to dumb down kids, but then it's also being used to make either average or below average people smarter. And in the middle of his detective work, he gets attacked by these 2 luchadors who have a giant monster truck that's got machine guns on it. And they're talking very eloquently, and he's kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? And they were hired, basically mercenaries, by this other group that was selling the drug as these teched out gang members, because they catch one and he's distracting Spider-Man to the point where these guys show up, and he basically finds out, he puts 2 and 2 together, that this drug is meant to do 2 different things at the same time: dumb down somebody or make someone more smart. And so they're basically getting these mercenaries are after them like hardcore. Him and this other girl that's helping him try to solve this mystery. And at the end of the book, I think they lose the luchadors, but they're like putting 2 and 2 together. But then they actually get caught. The machine guns I had mentioned can rotate directly down. So when they escaped, they went into like the sewers. And then the luchadors basically shot up the road until they fell into the sewer with the truck. So the book ends with Spidey about to get squashed by a giant monster truck with machine guns attached to it. And the girl he's with is like, "Do you have any thoughts?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what the fuck to do." Then we cut to Baron Zemo, who was in the first book, killing Hydra agents like slowly. So he ends up finding out that this group that's selling the drugs are also affiliated with Hydra, and he's like, new guys in town, and he's like killing them with his sword. And so that's where this issue ends. Is Zemo is going to be in touch with Spider-Man fairly soon, and I don't know if they're going to be. I doubt they're going to be allies, but that's going to be the next baddie that's coming for Spider-Man in this book. But that being said, I love the artwork. I enjoy the artwork. What up, James? James in the chat. I love the book. I love the artwork. I love the writing. But again, like I said, the bar is extremely low. But I'm still on the nonstop Spider-Man train. Like I dig it, man. I think it's fun. And then the one thing I liked most out of this book was Spider-Man's Spidey sense in this book is taken to a new level. So instead of like squiggly lines, it like talks to Peter, so it's like, get the fuck out, or like move, or it's pretty cool. So the artistic part of this book is really kick-ass, but I enjoyed it. I don't think you read this, right?
I didn't read this now.
Yeah, but I liked it.
Honestly, I think in order to get me to pick up a regular ongoing Spider-Man, it's gonna have to be written by Donny Cates.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
We're all hoping. I mean, come on. We're all hoping.
Next up, we have... we're in our DC books. So we're no longer in our Marvel books. We're in DC. We have Superman number 30.
We just have 2, don't we? Yeah. No, 3. 3. Sorry. I forgot about the detective.
But Superman.
Superman 30 opens up with a little bit of a foreshadow. Little bit of a like what might happen later on in this arc, and Superman also is basically like narrating through a journal entry saying that he's documenting discoveries and adventures and stuff from his past for John, for his son. But then we come back to normal present time. This is part 1 of a new arc, The One Who Fell. And this first half of the book, did you read this one, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay. This first quarter half of this book is very much same vein as the first 2 issues from Philip Kennedy Johnson. Like, this is Superman, or I should say this is Clark, as a family man. Like, we see Lois and John and Clark, they're at like a little putt place playing miniature golf, like just having a great time. He's really like in the moment, like being kind of sappy, like like I don't know, honestly. I feel like if I had read this 5-10 years ago, I would have thought this was pretty cheesy. But now that I'm a father, I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, I can totally relate.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get a few pages of him just like really enjoying the moment, saying like, these are the reasons why we fight, right? This is the reason why I try to protect the world is so that me and the people I care about and everyone else can have, these types of moments. I don't know. I like that part. But then he gets this voice in his head basically calling him, and he realizes it's this, guy from a faraway planet, and he's going to have to go see what's going on. And he's like, come on, John, we're going to go to this planet. So they go to Thakrum, which for a second, I thought, or I read this whole issue and thought, man, this must be like some cool, like, Golden Age planet, that, you know, all this stuff that I don't know about. Man, I'm not a Superman reader. I don't know what this is. Just so you know, this is all new.
All new.
And so if you're a Superman reader, these planets and characters aren't legacy things. Like, this is all new. I wish I had known that when I was read it, because I was getting all bummed out that I didn't. Man, I don't know Superman. So basically, they go to Thakram, and as they're landing, Superman basically says to John's like, "Hey, just so you know, like people are kind of weird. Like, even with our communicators or like our interpreters, like their language is kind of weird and be kind of confusing, but it's cool. Like, it'll be cool here." And then they land, and of course they get attacked right away. But it's not for very long. They basically get catapulted with fireballs, and then a guy comes out, Faldir comes out, and he basically stops them and is like, "Oh my gosh, don't you know who this is? Like, this is the great Superman. Like, he helped us win this war, and like, what are you guys doing?" And so he's like, "It's been a long time. Why are you here?" And he's like, "Oh, well, Karath, who's the ruler of this planet. He sent me a message. He used that communicator that I gave him, and summoned me. Basically, said, 'Hey, you need to come back here.'" And Faldir says, "Yeah, no,
he did.
That fool did. He didn't call you nothing." And so they have this really bizarre funeral. So like, he literally just died. And so they have this funeral for, I think I'm saying that right, Karath. I don't know, it's weird,
dude.
But
there was a lot of just blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
in this book.
Oh yeah, like at one point, because his name's Karath Danim. Yeah, there's just like a lot of like chanting and fire and like, oh, it's a funeral, and it was kind of strange, but it's like, okay, whatever. And while the funeral is going on, this is when Superman explains to John, like, okay, so like, I came here and this big giant corpse fell out of the sky, and it was infected with like a parasite. Then I was like, oh, Philip Kennedy Johnson's been reading Jason Aaron's Avengers. That reminded me instantly of the Celestial, falling on Earth and stuff.
For sure.
And so he explains to John, what's going on, and Faldir, comes up with this atomic bomb style thing, and we blow it up and we save everyone, and it's all great. And I gave him this communicator in case he ever had a problem. Let me know and come back. So after the funeral, he's talking with Karath's son for a little bit, and they basically say, all right, well, we're going to get out of here. If no one called me, it's whatever. And as they're flying away, Superman's like, I want to go check on that pit where the body's at. Like, let's just make sure. I have a weird feeling. And so they go down to this crater. It's just this huge, giant, massive corpse of like this really bizarre looking alien. But while they're down there, they find the communicator, and they also find what looks to be a cage that is broken open. And it is at this point that Superman realized he has been duped. And
bamboozled.
He has been bamboozled. And then it cuts to Faldir talking with the son of the ruler, who's now the ruler. And as he's talking, you can see these black tendrils start to crawl out of his eyes. And then he like grabs the dude by his head and like flips him on his back and is like holding him upside down, and like these tendrils start crawling out of his eyes and into the eyes of Karath's son. And that's the end of the issue. And so we've got something weird going on this planet. It's alright.
Yeah,
it's alright.
Yeah, it's alright.
I also didn't even give the backup story a read.
I didn't either.
So again, I don't know what to expect from a Superman story. Only here because of Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it was okay. Seems kind of strange.
I think we definitely have like foundations being laid in this issue for sure.
I am intrigued enough to see where this is going. I liked the art in this book. I thought it was nice. Thought it was pretty good.
I really dig the cover.
Yeah, the cover's good. From what I understand, or not from what I understand, but the feelings that I get, I wonder how long the Superman book is going to be a Clark Kent book.
I mean, the foreshadowing at the beginning of this book, it's kind of like it's coming. We just don't know when.
Yes. I wonder if maybe we've got a couple of arcs, maybe 20 issues or so, and then, maybe Johnson's planning on John taking over. Now, who knows? Because there's also weird things going on with John in other stories. He's got a mini series that just came out last week or this week. Came out this week with Damian, Super Sons.
Yep.
Mini series came out where he's literally drawn like he's like 6 years old or something.
Right.
It's very strange, but I like the non-superhero parts of these books, which is weird because it's not really what it's about, or maybe it is. Maybe that's what Johnson's going for. But I'm intrigued enough to keep going, see where it's at.
So like you said, like I picked this book up too because I was like, what? I'm reading Batman. I should probably read Superman. Yeah, it was an okay issue. I'm intrigued though to see where it goes, but like. The building of the world of the alien, I was kind of like, what is going on? Like, and I kind of was in the same boat. I was like, should I know who these are, or is this a whole new thing?
I will say, just from Super Son's story from the past, that makes sense. I will say that from what I understand, this like really weird alien names is a pretty common thing in Superman.
I gotcha.
Or at least it was in like Silver Age, Bronze Age kind of a thing.
It's not a turn off for me, but it was just like when I was reading it, I was like, let's just get back to a word that I know. Like they're very lengthy, and so that was my. If there was any critique, it's just kind of like cross-eyed a little bit.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I'll definitely be picking up the next issue.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
All right, after that, we've got the Joker #2. Mm-hmm. This was good too.
So there was a lot going on in this book, so much so that it's not. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to cover every bit of it.
No, I think we just hit the little bits for sure.
So we get a little bit of a foreshadow in the beginning with this weird group. I don't know if they're ever named or not, but basically. This is where we get our first glimpse of our new character, like our little cameo appearance. If you haven't heard about that somehow, I'm not going to ruin it here because it's not pertinent to the story.
Not quite, yeah.
So basically, we have Gordon summoning Batman to his apartment, and they sort of back and forth for a little bit. But basically, Gordon wants to tell Batman what's going on and say, like, listen, hired by someone to find the Joker, and
not everything. He's not telling him everything.
Well, no, you're right. He's not telling him everything. I'm hired, and I need to find Joker, and for these people, and he's basically like, I need some resources. Like, I want access to like the Bat computer, and like I basically want your resources. And Batman's like, yeah, this is, that's intriguing. With how things are going right now in Gotham, and they just had Joker War was over, and then they had the Arkham Asylum massacre, and he's like, so yeah, I can't really get out right now. I can't really leave to go hunt down the Joker.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. So Gordon does hide the fact that he's pretty much decided that he's gonna kill the Joker if he finds him.
Right. So the people that hired him were like, and we need you to kill him.
Yes.
And at the end of that issue, he was kind of like, but now it seems like he's like, nah, I'm gonna fucking kill him. $25 million? Nah, kill
him. Yes. So it's a before or after this part that he tells him. Okay, so after he gives that information, we get a quick little flash to Joker, which again, this book is called The Joker, but this is a Gordon book, like. Yeah. But this time we actually see, Joker actually has some dialogue. Not
dialogue
a lot.
and literally some crazy ass eyes.
Yeah, his eyes are really
weird.
Now this part I was a little bit confused on who this weird guy with the burned face is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
But he basically shows up where Joker has killed some people and is just hanging out. This is it's explained. This is basically like a villain hangout spot. And he's like, yeah, you killed these people in the villain hangout spot. You're not supposed to do that, so now you have to leave. And Joker's like, yeah, I don't think so. That's not happening. The people that are looking for me probably already know I'm here, and this is a good place for me to hunker down, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, fuck off.
Bye-bye. But then we cut back to the story with Gordon, and he's basically telling Batman, like, hey, he's really trying to keep it secret from Batman that he's gonna kill him. And I honestly can't remember what exactly makes the big reveal.
So when he's basically making his list to Batman of what he needs, Batman goes, all right, I will give you all of these things. But in return, there's one stipulation. You're going to have an escort, and that escort is Oracle. And Oracle, I think Oracle analyzes, she's trying to get more information out of Gordon, and he feels cornered. He's cornered in the situation. He really doesn't want to tell Batman that he's going to kill the Joker. So before that they can kind of corner him with information, he drops basically that he knows that Oracle is Barbara. Yeah. And both Batman and Oracle are like, the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. He's actually Jacob was talking about this a little bit when I went into the store Wednesday, and he was like the look on Batman's face of just like, the fuck?
Yeah.
He was like, and he's like, I really enjoyed how, the Gordon's like, I wonder, now Batman's wondering, what else do I know? And Jacob's convinced that this means that Gordon also knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Batman, yeah.
And even though that's not said, I thought that was a really interesting, intriguing point.
Well, yeah, I mean, Batman's completely caught off guard, so it's very safe to assume that he thinks that Gordon knows that he's Batman.
Yeah. But Oracle doesn't miss a beat, though. She's like,
no.
She's like, come to the lighthouse, whatever it's called. She's like, get over here right now. We need to talk. All right, fine. Okay, cool. So come on.
Jaden says, I just realized that Gordon wasn't supposed to know she's Oracle. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a definite mic drop.
Right. I actually do know this. Yeah, I mean that makes sense because as readers, you've known that for so long, or that's been out in continuity that sometimes it's hard to remember what characters remember what.
But then we find out that Gordon's known that she was Batgirl, and he drops a shit ton of knowledge on her for a while.
Yeah, he's known everything with Barbara.
Yeah.
So he goes to see her. She basically explains to him, I can't be Batgirl anymore because of the implant in my spine. If I was abusing it too much when I went back to being Batgirl. So now I'm Oracle again. She's like, I'm in transition. We'll figure it out. They talk about the past for a while. They talk about, what happened with James and how the Joker basically haunts both of them. This part, in a good way, this part is very dialogue heavy, but I really enjoyed it. I felt the emotional connection.
No, it didn't read. It didn't read like you were trying to trudge through it. You were jumping to each speech bubble, I need to know more. I need to know more.
Yeah. But she basically says, listen, here's a phone. This will be your access to the information that you need. This will also be a way for me to keep track of you. And she also says, if I don't hear from you every hour or something, then I can put emergency protocols into motion. And he's like, what? Is it going to self-destruct or something? And she's like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Well, and that makes total sense. Like all that information, like, yeah, of course they can't just have that out and about.
No.
But she's basically able to find out that someone named Chrysidia is who hired him to hunt the Joker. And he's pretty much set, ready to go on and hunt him down.
Yep.
And then we get a few pages back with this weird organization that's in Texas, by the way.
Yep.
And again, I don't know who this guy is with also like a weird burned looking face, but this group who has, our introduced character, they're after Joker. They're ready to go. This new character is their big secret weapon.
So what it is, I mean, I think you know what this is. You're just trying to give it away, and I won't give away any either, but there's certain crime syndicates that are out for Joker's blood because they've lost somebody in the Arkham Asylum. Right. Like Bane died, and we've got other people that died. So we've got all these different groups of crime families after Joker because you don't fucking do that amongst the criminals. Like and he clearly did it on purpose. Now, what was his gain? We don't know. It might not be anything. It might just be for pure insanity. But yeah, so you've got the family that's kind of weird that's out for blood. You've got how do you say her name?
I think it's Chrysidia or Cressida.
So Cressida is apparently, her family is a well-known family that's been kind of exiled and now is being brought back into the Court of Owls. So they're after the Joker. They're the ones that hired Gordon. And then you've got this other group who has created a new character that we're not going to give out because that's the big, like, amongst the community, this is the big, like, whoa. But they're after Joker too, and they're sending this new character off to fucking kill Joker too. So Gordon is not alone. He is not the only hired hand that is off to find Joker. And that's the whole reason why he went to the hideout, because the hideout, he can use the resources there to keep himself safe. Yeah, I liked it. I was like, man, I'm so glad I picked this up. Like, this is freaking dope.
Yep, it was a really good issue. I really like the art in this book. It's really good. I like the pacing. I honestly like the amount of information that we're getting to within these first couple of issues.
Yeah, we're definitely building a world so that when we actually do get into the action, we're not hindered by deposition, and we're just like full throttle probably.
Did you read the backup story in this one?
I did not, because I didn't read it in the first one.
So I did read it. I did. This is a Punchline backup story, and this is directly connects to the last one. So I would go read that one and then read this one. It's really funny, and it's amusing how much ridiculous like Gen Z talk is in here.
Oh, okay.
There's like one girl like literally doing the Oego face or however the fuck you say it, and then like just like where is that line at?
While you look for it, Ron says James Tynion is the DC Donny Cates. I would agree with that.
Yes.
Even though I don't know as much.
Right now, current books being released, Tynion's independents are better.
Ooh, wow.
Crossover's good, but Department and Something is Killing the Children, nobody's touching those in the independent game right now.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, that's
all I was trying to say.
Gotcha. So that is Joker number 2. Pretty high up there. I'd give it a solid A for this week. All right, next up we've got Batman the Detective, 1 of 6 from Tom Taylor. I bought this book kind of on a whim because, I picked up Taylor's Nightwing, and so I was like, I need some more Batman. And this is, it's a mini series, so this is basically Batman more in the future. He's a little older, and he's kind of over Gotham. He's kind of like, I just can't. I'm over the city. I can't do anything with it. I need more, right? But the book opens with a plane, with this attendant counting people on the plane. And then before she's like, all right, they're all here. You kind of notice that everybody on the plane's like out, right? And what it is like they've all been gassed. They're asleep. And this attendant goes to the front of the plane. She pulls out a white Batman mask, puts it over her head, and proceeds to say, all right, go ahead, go for it. And a missile hits the front of the plane, cockpit. Plane starts nosediving. They all start jumping out. There's a character named the Knight, I believe is a character from England, is on the plane, and she's trying to stop these people that are all dressed up with this white Batman mask. So they all jump out of the plane. She doesn't have a parachute. She ends up like holding on to one of them, beating the fuck out of them, and she pulls the chute, and when she lands, like, it's a really rough landing. And then the first flight attendant, who's wearing the Batman mask, is like, you can't survive either, and bang, she gets shot. So then we cut to Bruce in his cave, talking about how he's over Gotham, he can't help it anymore, and then he hears about this plane crash, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go investigate this, I'm out, peace. And so he goes to England, and as he's going to England, he's doing his typical thing. He's cross-referencing all the everybody on the plane died except for this Knight character, and so he's cross-referencing this information to figure out who these people were, why they were targeted. So when he shows up, when he gets to the crash site, he is met by the apprentice, or the squire is the name of the character of the Knight, the girl that fell out of the plane. And she's like, oh, you're here to investigate. He's like, yeah. And he's like setting up a perimeter. He's scanning everything. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm scanning for footprints, DNA, whatever, to figure out what's going on here. And he starts putting on these gloves, right? And she's like, why are you putting on these gloves? And he's like, don't worry about it, and don't look behind you. And behind her is this giant, like, Jack the Ripper ghost dude. Like, it's literally a ghost demon. And he starts, like, the demon's like, Batman, like, I'm here feeding on the fear of these people that died, and, like, that's my thing. And he goes, but I can't quite figure out you. And he, like, chucks his hand into Batman's chest, and he's like, you fear, just, like, it was, like, a very complex reason for fear. And before the ghost can really fight him, he's like, nah. And the gloves that he has on makes it allow him to physically grab the ghost and beat the shit out of him. So he starts beating the fuck out of the ghost. He's like, boom, boom, boom. And he, like, rips it apart, and it disappears. Right? And the girl's like, the fuck was that about? He's like, don't worry about it. So he continues to do analysis. He goes and visits Knight at the hospital, and she's like, oh, hey, Bruce, like, welcome back. I heard you met Squire. And he's like, yeah. And she goes, what did you do to impress her? He's like, nothing. And she's like, seriously, what did you do? He's like, I beat up a ghost. And she's like, there it is. So, like, he was, like, kind of showing off. Anyway, while they're having this dialogue, this group shows up again, but they're in full-on white Batman suits, and they have, like, M16s, and they're coming after Knight because Knight survived the crash. And he's like, I usually take pity on criminals, but when they start targeting hospitals, that's when you cross the fucking line, So he goes and he starts fighting them and beating the shit out of them. And most of them get away because he's too slow, because he's older now. He's not as quick as possible, so he has to be more precise. And so most of them get away, but he captures one of them. And he gets back into the hospital room, and he's literally hanging one outside the window, like, tethered. And Squire's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm trying to get information. And as he says that, the computer, like, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, I've figured out what's going on. And it's cross-referenced all these people, and everybody in the plane were past survivors that Bruce saved. And this group is actively going out and killing all the people that Bruce has ever saved as Batman. And that's how the issue ends. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, they're undoing his work. So that's how the issue ends. Yeah, and I was like, that's fucked up, bro. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. The artwork is fucking cool, and I really like this, like, older version of Batman. Having to be more resourceful and more calculated in what he does, because he knows he's not as young as he used to be, and he can't move the way he did, and he has to rely more on his brain now than karate, essentially, or we can do it, but for a limited amount of time. But I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I picked this up. Super stoked about it, and it just makes me Don't tell Evan, man. Like I'm becoming more and more of a Batman fan every day.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely telling him.
But no, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I picked it up, and I'm really looking forward to the next issue.
Nice.
And you didn't pick this up, right?
I didn't.
You should go pick it up. All right.
Yeah.
Next
By the
up,
way,
we've got.
I counted the books on my pull list, 54. I don't know if I need to add another one.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, next up, we've got our independents. We got 2 this week. It's a little smaller, but we got to keep the show down. We've got Proctor Valley Road #2 from Boom Studios. I did not read this one, but you did.
Yes. So this one will be a little
quick.
shorter too. Yeah.
Yep, that's okay.
So this book starts out with the girls getting grilled by the local detectives about what happened with the boys, and if
The boys.
they helped basically they think that they helped them skip out on their recent draft deployments. But it's actually pretty funny because they totally own these detectives. Like they like August is very like smart mouth with them. Cora's a little nervous, but Riley's literally like filing her fingernails, and by the time it gets to Jenny O, the guy's like there's like a whole pile of cigarettes and he's like rubbing the back of his head and he's just like, oh my god, never mind, like let's just forget it. Like we don't have anything here. So the kids, the girls go back to the school and like all the kids are thinking like, oh, they're so awesome. Like they call them the Rebel Angels, and they get this whole little bit of like notoriety for it. At one point, there's a reporter waiting for them on the outside of the school. And they're walking home from school one day, and I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Riley that was like, oh, hey, by the way, I've got mushrooms. Like, let's go hang out and eat these mushrooms. And so they, it's the 70s, whatever. And so they go and hang out in one of their normal spots, and these like glowing letters start appearing on their skin like right away.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, oh yeah, we're tripping balls. And she's like, no, I grabbed the wrong mushrooms. These are literally just like portobello mushrooms.
Oh shit.
Like, we're not tripping at all. And so they're like, oh shit, and why do we have these letters? And so they like figure out how to line them up, and it says landlady. They're like, whoa, who's the landlady?
Who's the landlady?
And so the next it cuts to August back home with her mom, and she gets in this big argument. And August decides, like, hey, I got to go back out to Proctor Valley Road and find the boys. Like, we just need to get this all figured out. Like, they might still be out there, they might not be, but like, we got to get this figured out. And at this point, I'm thinking like it's clearly like been at least a day. Like, do you think the boys are just like camping and just like, yeah, someone will find us eventually? I don't know. I just thought it was kind of strange, but she also. You can clearly tell that she's expecting some danger because she goes and finds her dad's hidden gun in his toolbox.
Right.
And so she takes her gun and gets on her bike and heads out to Proctor Valley Road. And once she gets out there, she sees like a bunch of weird stuff. She sees like this weird totem thing in the grass. She thinks it's one of the boys at one point, and like runs up to it and yells, and then realizes it's just a totem. Then fireworks go off. Of course it's nighttime, by the way.
Right.
Fireworks go off. She kind of, is like, oh shit, what was that? And then she finds like a disemboweled deer with its like guts all out and blood everywhere.
Jesus.
And she is like, what the fuck is going on? And then she goes to light a cigarette because she's kind of nervous. And she turns around, and Skip, one of the boys, is there, but he's like half burned.
Yeah.
And he's on fire. And she's like, oh shit, what the? And then he just poofs and he's gone. And she's like, maybe I'm cracking. Maybe I'm losing it a little bit. And as she's about to get back on her bike and go back home, a car comes rolling down the road and hits her. And she basically like rolls over the car, and it like bends her bike all up. And she's by herself and she's sort of, left there. We don't know exactly what happened to her. And then we get these like little 1-page vignettes of the rest of the girls like at home, and it's like, kind of showing them like what an evening in their life is like. I can never remember their names. Thank God it's at the beginning. Riley she stole the jockstrap from the boy that they were playing basketball with in the first issue. Steals his jockstrap and puts it on a mannequin and like pretends like she's getting married. Cora's dad is like training her to be a good wife, and like she's carrying a tea set with like books balanced on her head. It's kind of weird. But then we cut back to August, and she's got her bike basically slung over her shoulder, and it's like, all right, well, we just got to get back home because her tire's all bent and stuff. Yeah. And then these hyenas just come out of nowhere and like all surround her, but they're not on 4 legs; they're on 2 legs.
What?
And she's like, "Oh shit!" And they start charging her, so she pulls out the gun and shoots a couple of them, but one of them manages to get through and like swipes her arm and like leaves these 3 huge gashes on her arm.
Yeah.
And right when it looks like, she runs out of bullets, and right when it looks like, oh shit, like this is it, the girls come screeching up, and they actually come screeching up blaring Led Zeppelin. Good, it's like Good Times, Bad Times,
Yeah.
They come screeching up, and they Jenny O like sprays them with hairspray, and they go running and they leave. And then the girls get out and are like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on? Like, what are you doing out here all by yourself?" And then each one of them sort of starts having like these really weird things happen to them. Riley starts getting super dizzy. Jenny O starts puking. I just looked at it on accident. The nastiest this panel or this art really isn't scary. It's not really drawn scary or anything, but August's slash marks, they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with your arm? Why is your arm writhing?" And she's got fucking maggots coming out of her arm. It's so gross. And they're like, "What's going on?" And August is basically like, "Oh, it's probably her, right?" Like, "Yeah, it's definitely her." And then it cuts to the page. It's like, that's the landlady. Which if you've seen the Peach Momoko exclusive cover, that's supposed to be the landlady.
Gotcha.
But that's it. That's the end of the issue. And so now they've come across the landlady.
Cool.
I did not quite get the feeling from this issue as I did the first issue.
Little disconnected or what?
Yeah, like I don't really know what we're doing here. Like I think that whatever is happening here, I am missing it, because I have heard from people who... Well, I've heard from a lot of people that this is a great issue. Like, I'm really liking the story so far. And I'm just like, it's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with Grant Morrison's work, and he's done absolutely a ton of things. And so maybe I just am missing his style, or maybe there's like an underlying something. I don't know. It's only a 6-issue miniseries, so I'll keep reading it, but it's like a B minus.
B minus. Well, I picked it up. I didn't pick it up. I physically picked up the book at the store the other day, and you were like, "Yeah, Boom makes really nice books." It does feel really good in your hands. I will say that. Like,
yeah,
whatever, it does feel good. I'll say that. But that's just a literal physical critique of the book.
Yes.
All right, so that is Proctor Valley #2 from Boom Studios. Now we're off to Image with Home issue 1 from Julio Aneta.
Yes.
This book definitely had, and I know you're going to give the synopsis, and I kind of don't want to give it away. Like, I kind of think we should just kind of vaguely create a bubble around it.
Sounds good to me.
And then let people pick it up if they want to.
Yeah.
That being said, before we even get into the book, I want to get Julio on the show. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I want to figure out a way, because he puts his email at the back of the book, and he's like, I want to talk to him. I think it would be kick ass if we could get him on the show, because this issue just hits hard with what's currently going on right now, what's been going on with this issue that a lot of people either feel very uncomfortable talking about or don't think it's real or think it is real and we need to do something about it. I mean, he hits the nail on the head hard with this and makes you, however you feel about this situation, it's going to make you feel something. Whether it's, it's charged. It's a very charged issue.
It is. Yeah.
It is. But that being said, before you get into your synopsis, I just think I would love to get Julio on the show and talk to him about it.
I agree. So basically this first issue is following Mercedes and Juan on their journey from Guatemala City to the United States border seeking asylum. So this time frame, this takes place very early in Trump's presidency. We actually get the first few pages, which is basically their journey, and it's being narrated over from that pretty infamous speech that he gave, basically saying,
it definitely got me. It got me angry. It really got me angry reading that. And I'm just gonna throw this out now before I'm sorry. I keep on butting in.
No, you're good.
I am half Mexican. Okay, I know I look white as shit. I have a very white last name, but my mother is Hispanic. She's from a border town, and so, I am a byproduct of what's going on in this book. My grandparents came from Mexico, and this is going to get really deep, but I'm just going to say it really got me upset rereading those words. Like, I was very angry reading it because it's such a generalization, right? And I don't want to go down this road too much, but it really got me charged and really angry when I started reading that. And then when you continue the synopsis of the book, like there's just scenes in this book that I'm just like, fuck, like, oh, you know what I mean? And this is just one little sliver of just complete inhuman indecency, right? We're not even talking about other social issues that we know comic books talk about. We kind of hit that on Children of the Atom, with Cherub. Like, there are just things that are in these books. Now, this one's a little bit more heavy and front forward with it, but these issues exist in these books, and if you don't, I'm not saying you don't have to pay attention if you don't want to, but they're definitely there, and they've been there. And this book is not at all afraid to tackle this issue. Sorry, I just had to get that out.
No, I totally agree. So basically, we once they get to the border, they go and they get brought inside, and they're trying to do their application to seek asylum, and the guy's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to go wait in here for a little bit, and they get put in what's called the ice box, which is basically, if you've seen it on TV, basically like a big cage where families are being held, and it's just really cold and not really hospitable at all, not very comfortable. And they go in there, and Mercedes starts to learn that families are being separated, that children are literally being taken from their families. She starts to kind of question, like, what is happening? Why are we being treated like criminals? Like, what is going on? At one point, while they're in there, literally a baby is taken away from a breastfeeding mother. And then eventually they come for Juan too, and Mercedes tries her best to fight, but she can't.
That's not what she can do.
No, there's really not. And so Juan is taken to a children's facility in San Antonio. McAllen is or Allen or McAllen, I can't remember.
I think it's McAllen, yeah.
McAllen is where they're initially at, where they initially crossed the border. So San Antonio is pretty far away, like from
yeah.
here.
So from the border itself, like if you go to like Del Rio, which is that's where my mother's from. It's like 3.5 hours away. But if you go further down, yeah, you're talking like 5-6 hour drive.
Right, it's far away, and he's really taken to just another place that looks like kid prison. And he's eating dinner there, and they tell him basically, oh, dinner's over, like let's go. And he's got an orange left over, and he wants that orange, and he puts it in his pocket. And even though he's warned by a kid, hey, you're not allowed to do that, he does it anyway, and he's eating it in his cell, and this drill sergeant guy catches him and is like, you're not allowed to eat out here, do you know it? And he gets thrown in solitary confinement. And yeah, the book
shifts tonally very quickly right after that.
So I was not expecting it, and I'm very interested where this is going. However,
I think it's necessary too. I'll just chime in there. Like I don't know. I feel like it's a necessary shift a little bit.
So one thing that I think when we're dealing with some social issues like this, it's hard sometimes for people to understand these types of things until they can read stories about people and be able to relate to it on a personal level.
Right.
And I applaud the fact that they're that someone has chosen comics to try to meet some of those people and present this picture. If you're a news person, you watch the news a lot, these are stories that are going to be very familiar to you. But there are going to be comics readers that are going to pick this up that I think are really going to realize the horrors that have been going on in our border for quite some time now. And this comic book might be the first thing to really introduce it to them in a way that clicks for them. Certain ways click for people in different ways, but like this is a heavy book, but it was written really well. I think the art is really approachable. It's not anything like bombastic or distracting. Like it's very just like we're telling a story here.
And I can already hear it now. Like people that are on that side, or comic gators, are just like, leave politics out of my. This is just not. Again, if you know what this book is about and you look at the cover and you're like, that's not for me, then don't pick it up. Don't shit on it. Just let people read it the way they want to read it. And if you don't want to read it, don't read it.
And also, you have no idea where this book is going. If you haven't you haven't read, if it hasn't been spoiled for you, this book definitely has a twist on the end that if you weren't intrigued, you will be by the end of it.
It's definite like shot out of left field. Like I told you, like when we picked it up, I kind of flipped through it and I got to the end and was like, what? Wait, was not expecting that. And, Julio talks about it at the end of the book in a very long paragraph of describing why he wrote this story, and kind of just said what you said, like trying to get the stories, that are true into another medium so people can experience it. But then he throws this thing at the end and you're like, wait, what? Like, well, now I got to pick up issue 2 because that was fucking crazy, And it came out of nowhere. I was not expecting it at all. But kudos to Julio and the team for doing this book and just doing what comics are about, which is, yes, it is an escape. It is also to talk about social injustices and other issues that have always been there, whether they've been, fairly painted over so that it's just so minute that you would really recognize it or you really have to dive deep into it. But this is a very takes a lot of cojones to do this, and I applaud it.
Absolutely.
So that is our last issue for the week. We got through it in 2 hours and 28 seconds. Not bad. It's not our 3-hour show. But that is our pulls for the week. So again, Thank you for watching, everybody that's on right now. If you're watching this as a past episode and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit that bell. We are currently on a giveaway. We give away our first slab tonight, and we're getting ready to give a second slab out at 250 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. And as always, like as we end every stream, we want you to read more comics. So please read more comics. And get ready for comic solicitations videos. Get ready for comic book haul videos next week. Maybe there'll be some comic news next week. Who knows? We'll talk. And right as we're ending, my father says, checking in. You're going to have to watch the last episode, Dad. But that being said, thanks, guys, again. Read more comics, and we'll see you guys next week.